please expand on the idea that during sleep we are breathing only in order that others not put us in the grave. Is there a problem with the translation?
Regarding this 8th paragraph of Nana, there's a bit of a history about that. I tried to make it clear in my translation. Those particular, there are 3 sentences there, but were not in the original Who Am I? The meaning of those 3 sentences are, however, in sleep, even though the mind has ceased, the prana does not cease. This was inserted after the sentence in which Bhagavan says, therefore, when the mind ceases, the prana also ceases. And when the prana ceases, the mind also ceases. After that, 3 sentences were later added. However, in sleep, even though the mind has ceased, the prana does not cease. It is arranged thus by the ordinance of God for the purpose of protecting the body, and so that other people do not wonder whether the body has died. When the mind ceases in waking and in samadhi, the prana ceases. These 3 sentences were not in the original manuscript written by Bhagavan. They were not in any of the manuscripts of Shiva Prakasham Pillai. They seem to have been added sometime after 1932, because I've seen early editions. I've seen the handwritten manuscript of Bhagavan when he wrote the essay version. That was once reproduced in the Mountain Path in June 1993. A facsimile of that, of Bhagavan's handwriting, was reproduced in the Mountain Path. I've also seen, in fact, I've got a copy of the first edition of Ramana Nutaratu, 1931. And I've seen some 1932 editions. It wasn't in any of those ones. It seems to have been added around about sometime between 1932 and 1936. What is said here is inconsistent with Bhagavan's central teachings, because according to Bhagavan, there is, I mean, for example, in verse 10 of Uludunapdu Anubandham, Bhagavan clearly says the body does not exist in sleep. So if the body doesn't exist, then the prana also doesn't exist, because the prana is part of the body. So this is not consistent with Bhagavan's teachings. What I suspect may have happened is that someone would have objected when they read that Bhagavan had written, therefore, when the mind ceases, the prana also ceases, and when the prana ceases, the mind ceases. Someone would have said, oh, but Bhagavan, in sleep, the mind ceases, but the prana continues. Why is that? Bhagavan would have understood from the question, but the questioner wasn't ready to understand his deeper teachings. So Bhagavan would have replied, saying something like this, oh, it's been arranged thus by the ordinance of God for the purpose of protecting the body, and so that other people do not wonder whether the body has died. Bhagavan may have given that answer, but that is what Bhagavan refers to as an answer given to the question of others. That is, there's a verse in Uludunapdu Anubandham, I think verse 33 in Uludunapdu Anubandham, in which he says that saying that Sanchita and Agamya cease, but Prarabdha remains for the jnani, is an answer given to the question of others. So Bhagavan often used to say this Bhagavan often used to have to give diluted teachings to suit people who weren't ready to understand his deeper teachings, but he would later clarify to others that was just an answer given to the question of others. That means it's not an answer he would have given to someone who was ready to understand his teachings. But there are many people around Bhagavan and many visitors who were not ready to understand Bhagavan's deeper teachings, because Bhagavan's teachings are extremely radical. So if someone is not willing to accept the deeper teachings, Bhagavan has to give more superficial teachings to suit their their level of maturity, or whatever we can say. So this is definitely an answer given to a question of others. This isn't an answer that Bhagavan gave to Shiva Prakashan Pillai, because Shiva Prakashan Pillai would not have asked such a question. But someone asked the question, Bhagavan would have given this answer, and then they would have said, oh, Bhagavan, this is a very useful answer. Why shouldn't we add that in Nana? Bhagavan would have nodded. He said, okay, if you want to add it, you add it. So somehow it got added. But this is not, since Bhagavan made it very clear in so many other places that the body doesn't exist at all in sleep. And when he said the body doesn't exist in sleep, he means all the 5 sheaths don't exist in sleep. So there's no question of the prana remaining in sleep. It's only in the view of people in waking state, but a sleeping person, body seems to be there and their body seems to be breathing. But that's in the view of the people in the waking state. It's in their waking state that this appears to be the case. In sleep, nobody is aware of any body or prana or karana, sarira, or anything else. All we're aware of in sleep is I am. That's why Bhagavan said sleep is there's actually no difference between sleep and turiya. Sleep seems to be different from turiya because we've come out of it. So from a perspective of the mind in waking and dream, sleep seems to be a temporary state because we seem to have come out of sleep. But when we know ourselves as we actually are, we'll know that this state, which we previously took to be a temporary state and a state of darkness, is actually none other than turiyatita. Bhagavan said very, very clearly and unequivocally in Guru Vatsaka Kovai. So, but many people are not ready to understand these deeper teachings, so Bhagavan has to give more diluted teachings to suit them. So this is an example of that, an answer given to the question of others.